I went thrifting every single day this last week, I think, and I hit one massive estate sale. And I'm not going to lie, I'm exhausted this week, but those finds were totally worth it. So today I'm going to show you what I bought, what I passed up on, and what has already sold this week. And I'm giving a few tired vintage pieces a little bit of new life with some paint. So stick around until the end to see how those pieces turn out. Now let's rewind and go back to how the week really went. It was one of those weeks that I just didn't plan to thrift, but you know how that is. You just get that urge, and then before you know it, you're in 2 and 3 different stores. But I went to a mix of some small thrift stores, one larger chain, and then I spent pretty much the entire day at an estate sale because it was only a one-day sale. And honestly, I think I drained every ounce of energy I had left that day. Now I'm going to show you what I passed up on because this is where a lot of people mess up when they start thrifting and buying things. They just get caught up in the prices and you think, oh, that's cheap. I can't pass up on that. Or this is cute, but could it be fixed? Well, probably, but do you need another project? Now, I did this myself when I first started thrifting. I picked up a lot of dishes and cups that were 10 cents a piece at this one thrift store, and I thought in my mind, I was thinking, oh, I can probably flip those for $15, $20 a piece. Well, it didn't turn out that way, and I'm still stuck with them 6 months later. So I'm showing you some of the things that I pass up on because just because it's cheap, it doesn't mean that it's a good investment or something you can resell. Now, you can certainly pick the items that you wish to resell, and you might have great luck in selling them. One thing about thrifting, though, I can say that I really do learn a lot, and it's a learning experience every day because I come across things that I don't know what they are. For instance, these bed warmers. They were $1 a piece. I looked them up on Google Lens because I had no idea what they were. They were selling for $30 a piece on eBay, so I went ahead and grabbed these. This clock had been sitting at one of the thrift stores for about 3 months, I think was the date on it. And I decided to get it and maybe paint it or fix it into something different. The clock does work on it. Now, the little drawers are fake, but I've been thinking how I can change this up and paint it and maybe change it into something different other than a clock. I picked up these home interior type pieces for 50 cents a piece. My goal was to buy them to paint them and fix them up a little different, but they're still selling pretty good on eBay, so I'm going to see if they sell first, and if not, then I'll paint them later on. The set of 5 vintage ceramic coasters came with their little holder, and when I looked them up on eBay, they were selling for about $20 to $25. Well, I didn't look through to see if they all matched, so when I got home and got to looking, 3 of the bird coasters belong to one set, and then there's 2 flowers that belong to a different set. So I really don't have a full set that's probably the $20 to $25 value. I'm still going to sell them all together and hopefully at least get $20. Now, while I was at one store, they were putting new things out on the shelf, so I tried to keep an eye out for things that weren't there the first time I went around. I came back around and found this camcorder, Sony Handycam, on the bottom shelf, and they had $5 on it, so I quickly grabbed it up. It doesn't have any cassette with it or any cords is the only problem, so I have no way of checking it. I may just have to sell it as is or just sell it for parts. This particular store had dresses on sale this week for $1, so any dress in the store was $1. I found 2 vintage dresses, which really surprised me this week that they had those for $1. One was a Lily Rubin black evening dress, and the other does not have a brand in it, but it is beautiful. It's got a little bit of sort of beads and a pearl type bead in it, and it just looks so stunning, and those would be perfect to wear for Valentine's Day or any night out. I'm not sure how much I can get for either dress. I'm hoping around $200. I know nothing about vintage clothing, but when I started looking at the tags, these have tags that were made by the union, so I hope that makes them a little more special when it comes to reselling them. And for $1, I also found this philosophy dress and this bohemo dress, which is another version of anthropology. The anthropology type dress has a little bit of a hole in the side of it, so I will try to fix that. But otherwise, they were in great condition, and you just can't beat it for $1. And from the same store, I found this Calvin Klein men's suit jacket for $3 and a Joseph A. Bank suit jacket for $3 as well. I think both will sell around $35 to $45. Next is my favorite part of the week, which was the estate sale. And I did spend a good chunk of the day at this house. I think I went back in 2 different times that morning. I bought a load, went out and rested a little bit in my car, and then came back and got another load. My husband came back with me that afternoon when everything was half off, and we found a few more things, but it was really neat, just the things that I found today. The first thing that I had my eye on was this teddy bear with a sweater. I saw it online and hoped that it would still be there when I went in the door that morning. I quickly found my way back to the room that it was in, and it was still on the shelf. This is a Ralph Lauren teddy bear from 1997. I paid $10 for it, and it sells around $50 to $60 on eBay. One thing that I started noticing at a lot of estate sales is that there are matches, and a lot of people like to collect matchbooks, which I did not know until my husband filled me in on that. So I try to pick these up if I see them anytime, and I just keep adding them to a collection that we already have. Then we're going to sell them all together. The last half of the day, everything was half off, so me and my husband went back to see if there was anything else that we might run across that we missed the first time. I found these little containers. The milk one on the left I paid $2 for, and the one on the right I paid $5 for. I picked them up just to paint and try to do something else with them, but I think I'll go ahead and see if they sell first, and if not, then I'll do something crafty with them later on. This teapot caught my eye earlier in the day, but it had $5 on it, and I just didn't feel like paying $5 for it, so it was still there when everything was half off, so I ended up getting it for $2.50. It's selling for around $25 on eBay. I picked up these brass wall plaques with the intent of painting them when I got home. I wasn't sure what else I could do with them. I thought they needed a little more life brought to them. I found all of these brass wall plaques for half off. I got them for $2.50 a piece. Now, they don't belong to the same set. The 2 little ones go together, but not the big one. But I think I'm going to do a little bit of a project with them and try to sell all 3 together as a set. So stick around until the end to see how these turned out. I ended up finding 3 Betty Crocker cookbooks, but this one is one that I hadn't seen before, and it was such a great find because the owner had actually left handwritten recipes inside the book. So there's a lot of loose papers and recipe cards that are handwritten from that person. So that's mainly why I bought this book, to get those. I love handwritten stuff like that, and it just made it a little more special. And I picked this book up for only $1. And as we were leaving, I was quite surprised to find this Dungeons and Dragons game book just sitting on the edge of a counter. I think someone had put it back. So I quickly grabbed it up for $1, and these are selling anywhere from $35 to $50 on eBay. And to round everything up this week, I did have one item that I had no idea what it was until I looked it up. These are castanets. They are used in Spanish dance for percussion instruments. I picked them up for $1. These sell anywhere from $12 to $40 depending on their quality and the type of wood, but This was something that I did learn about this week. And I hope you're ready for the big drum roll this week. I was quite surprised when I found this particular book. There were two large books sitting on a table that it looked like someone had put them back because they just decided they didn't want them. Well, because of their size, I quickly grabbed them up. I didn't even try to look them up. I just put them in my bag and hoped that when I got home, they would be something. So one of the books turned out to be around $30. And the other book, which was a World Atlas book, it was selling $400 and up. So I was quite shocked and quite surprised. That was my biggest find, probably for the month of January, finding this book. And don't just walk past those tables thinking that something's probably nothing, because you never know how much it's worth. And here are some of the items that have sold in the last few days. And earlier I mentioned I was going to do something different with these metal plates. Well, I painted them black and I put some gold accents on there, and it totally changed them up and they look so much better. Now at the beginning you saw me working on this little craft project, and it was a porcelain clock that I picked up at Goodwill for $2. The clock portion wasn't in it, so I tried to come up with an idea on how I could change up this little piece. So here's how it turned out. I turned it into a mini fairy garden. I painted the entire outside. I added some fake moss and flowers that I got at Hobby Lobby. I added a little set of 20 fairy lights inside to give it a little bit of light. Now there was a hole in the bottom, so I just ran the lights up through that hole so you can turn it on and off, but it turned out so great. I can't believe that it looks this good, and it's something that I picked up at Goodwill and changed up on my own. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of my eBay finds and estate sale finds and what I've sold stuff for. And I hope you even enjoy seeing some projects that I end up doing in future videos like these, where I take something, change it up, and make it into something brand new.